Oh, this is not going to be fun. Hello guys, how are you getting on? My name is Aaron Kelly and welcome back to another video, and the video you've all been looking forward to the most, I can imagine. It's me reacting to my 2020-21 Premier League predictions from back in August, so you know they're going to be pretty special, they always are. I'm usually very wrong when it comes to predictions, and if you remember last season when I predicted the Premier League table, I actually ended up only getting one team out of 20 right. Yes, you heard that right, one position correct. And that was Wolves finishing 7th, I believe. Let's hope for a little bit better today. I'm not expecting much. I was going to do a drinking game that every time I got one wrong, I would take a drink of something. But I don't particularly feel like passing out on camera because I feel like that's probably what would happen if I was to do that. Because I'm predicting a lot of these to be very incorrect. It's all part of the game. Game's the game at the end of the day. We all have fun here. Let's get into it then.
Now, I will say this, right, before we begin. This season's predictions are, we can give ourselves a little bit of leeway here. The transfer window still hasn't closed yet, and it's still not due to close.
This is me already, setting you up for disaster, okay? Because I knew that I was recording this video before the transfer window ended. Obviously, the transfer window ended a couple of games after the start of the season, so I was kind of using that as an excuse right off the bat, because you can already tell by this man's face, he knows his predictions are about to be very wrong.
In 20th position then, bottom of the pile, who do I think is going to finish bottom, last? I have gone for Fulham, newly promoted side, obviously came up through the playoffs, so,
where did Fulham finish? I think it was just 18th. Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. The fact that I've got, the first one at least relegated correctly, that's, it bodes well. It's a good start. It's not the correct position, but it's a good start. By the way, I didn't think Fulham had actually a terrible season. They just struggled in putting the fucking ball in the back of the net, which is obviously, it sounds like the most obvious thing that a team should have to do, but for some reason Scott Parker just didn't seem to fancy Alexander Mitrovic, and they just really struggled to find a real consistent goal scorer. It looked like for a while that Josh Maja was going to be the man, but overall, I think Fulham fought well, but just overall squad wasn't strong enough, and we kind of predicted them to go down at the start, as we've seen.
19th then is a team that I predicted to get relegated last season, and they didn't. It was Brighton. The season just gone and kind of changed my mind on Graham Potter. I wasn't sure if he had...
This is the first really badly incorrect one. Brighton finished, 16th, well away from trouble in the end. My biggest concern for Brighton going into the season was the concern that I had for Fulham, and that was lacking a real clear-cut goal scorer. I go on to say in this video, I think, about how I was impressed at how organised Graham Potter had got the Brighton side the previous season. And I mentioned that I didn't think Mopai or Connolly were going to be enough to get Brighton the goals they need to stay in the division. But then our Lord and Saviour, Danny Welbeck, graced the Premier League once again. He went on a great scoring spree, got some brilliant goals, I have to say, and a lot of people were calling for him to be on the plane for Gareth Southgate in England. I wouldn't exactly go that far, but I was very impressed with the way Brighton played their football. It was very attractive to watch at times, and again, that worry was still there that they just didn't have that end product or that bit of ruthlessness, but I'm happy to see them stay off. They're a good side, Brighton.
18th then, and finishing off the relegation zone is Aston Villa. Now, obviously, Aston Villa survived by the absolute skin of their teeth.
Oh no. Okay, this is the first really bad one. Villa had an incredible season. Let's just go up the table here. Finished 11th. Okay, I would say incredible, but they were a lot clearer of the relegation places than they were the previous season. And I want to explain myself here, because it looks like I've made a really dogshit prediction, which, let's not make a mistake here, I have really in hindsight. When I recorded this video, obviously, as I said, the transfer window still had not closed, okay? Villa's squad at this point, I didn't think was good enough. They had just signed Ollie Watkins. I didn't expect Ollie Watkins to be as good as he was, but he was incredible. But the real kicker for me is that they hadn't signed Emi Martinez yet, and he was one of the, if not the best keeper in the league this season. He's made it into a lot of people's teams of the season, and their goalkeeper situation at this point was an injured Tom Heaton and Orjan Neeland. So you can see where my concern was, being arisen from. Yeah, really good season for Villa. Sorry, Villa fans, for saying you'd get relegated. I was very off the mark with that one.
17th then, and just about surviving in the Premier League for 2020-2021 is West Ham United. There seems to be an awful lot of unrest at West Ham at the minute.
Stop. This one I can't explain. West Ham with best season really since Slaven Bilic's time there, and I think their last season in Upton Park. Finishing 6th in the league, an unbelievable season for them. For large periods of the season as well, actually really looked like they were going to be in Champions League football come next season. They were absolutely unbelievable to watch. Electrifying. Like Declan Rice was absolutely incredible. Surprise packages were the likes of Soufal and Soucek and Jesse Lingard when he came in on loan as well. What an unbelievable signing he was. And then even like the likes of Fornals, Bowen, all played their part as well in contributing to an unbelievable season for West Ham.
16th then I've gone for West Brom.
Yeah, West Brom. Okay, West Brom were poor. They showed less fight than Fulham, and even Sam Allardyce, who came in midway through the season for Slaven Bilic, couldn't keep them up.
15th, Crystal Palace.
14th. Okay, we're one off. We can allow ourselves on that one. Palace just kind of got by this season, didn't they? Like, they didn't pull up any trees. You were never sitting down of a weekend thinking, Jesus, I can't wait to watch Crystal Palace this weekend. Roy Hodgson's final season with the club, and if the fans were allowed into Selhurst Park this season, they probably wouldn't have had too much to be realistically excited about. But they got by, solid team, and I do think it's a team now in transition with Roy Hodgson leaving. They have a couple of experienced heads in there that might be coming towards the end of their tether. A solid side, and one that could probably do a little bit of freshening up, both in the managerial position, obviously with Roy leaving, and a few of the players coming to the end, really. But no, solid season overall, and a solid prediction by us.
14th then, I've gone for Leeds United. Obviously a massive club. I remember watching their...
Leeds, I think Southampton finished 14th, did they? Yes, where did Leeds finish? Were they top 10? Leeds were 9th in the end. Wow, that's actually a bit mad. And I'm not really surprised either, though. I know I'm acting surprised, but I'm really not. The great thing about watching Leeds this season is they were so unpredictable. At the same time, we kind of predicted them to be unpredictable.
I was not expecting that. But I was expecting not to expect something, so it doesn't count.
They were really, really good to watch. I really enjoyed watching Leeds, and I really feared when Chelsea were coming up against them because you really didn't know what you were going to get. That unpredictability made Leeds a great addition to the Premier League, and I can't wait to see them grow under Marcelo Bielsa further. Great season for them.
13th then, I've gone for Burnley.
Burnley finished just above the relegation zone in the end, actually, just there in 17th, and although not ever really feeling like they were being threatened, realistically, they kind of fell off towards the end of the season when it was confirmed that Fulham and West Brom were going down. A lot of people say they don't like Burnley, but I actually quite enjoy watching Burnley play because it kind of reminds me of my old Sunday League team, and I mean that in the best way possible. We were decent defensively, we were just able to shithouse victories without having the most flair and most quality players, you could say. But I'm happy to see Burnley stay up. I know a lot of people aren't. I know people in my family even that aren't happy to see Burnley stay up, but I personally am. I quite enjoy watching them.
12th, Sheffield United.
I criminally underrated Sheffield United in their first season in the Premier League, but I criminally overrated them in their second season in the Premier League. They were feeble. They kind of went down with a bit of a whimper. They kind of looked like they were gone by Christmas. They sacked Chris Wilder, and honestly, playing Sheffield United, you always kind of did feel like it was a guaranteed 3 points because they only managed 7 wins all season, which admittedly is more than both Fulham and West Brom. But there you go, look at that, 29 defeats, and only managing to score 20 goals all season. And you never really felt like the likes of McBurney or McGoldrick were ever going to get the kind of goals to keep them up. One thing they had in their favour for 2019-20 was their fans in the stadium and momentum. They started well and that kept going. You could see actually after the lockdown last season, their form really did dip, and that continues to be the case this season.
11th, Southampton.
Okay, Southampton finished 15th in the table. This kind of bottom half of the table is so difficult to predict. Like from like 15th to 11th is really, really hard to get right. But with Southampton, again, they're unpredictable. It's a bit of a mixed bag. You don't know what you're going to get. They had some great results this season, but they also had some bloody awful ones. Once again, another side that went to Old Trafford and got absolutely hockeyed, and Southampton lost by 9 to Man United, just as they did to Leicester City. And again, the board stuck with Ralph Hasenhüttl, and again, he kept them up. So the message here is, you might have to put up with a 9-0 every season, but you will stay up pretty comfortably in the end.
10th, Newcastle United.
Okay, well, Newcastle actually finished 12th in the end, which I don't think anybody would have predicted midway through the season because they were well in the thick of it. It looked like there was going to be a massive final day showdown between themselves and Fulham to see who would stay up. Fulham fell off and Newcastle just kept winning. And it was very much down to the form of Joe Willock. Who would have predicted that when he came in on loan from Arsenal? That incredible run they went on at the end of the season is what made it look so comfortable, but this table does not tell you the full story of Newcastle's season.
9th, I've gone for Everton.
Everton, I went for ninth, and they actually finished 10th. So I'm happy with that prediction. I did go on to say that this is the season that they have to be pushing for a top 6 space, Everton. They did look like doing that for a well, I wouldn't say a long time, but a substantial amount of time in the season. They made some great signings, the likes of Doucouré and James and Alan, all hit the ground running fairly soon in the season, but they just kind of died off towards the end. A couple of bad results against teams that they should have been beating. They'll probably be very disappointed with that, to be quite honest with you.
8th, I've gone for Leicester City. I really don't think Leicester are going to fly as high as they did last.
You're wrong there, Aaron. They did fly as high as they did last season. They spent more days in the top 4 than any other team, and yet they still finished 5th after, let's be honest, I've said it before, I'll say it again, they did bottle it towards the end of the season. A 4-2 defeat on the final day to Tottenham was the final nail in the coffin for them. But I remember there was verdicts earlier on in the season where I was thinking to myself, yeah, Leicester look fairly nailed on for top 4, don't they? Like, there was times where they were 2nd, they were 3rd. Like, who remembers that early season 5-2 win at the Etihad against Manchester City? Like, at that point, people were even saying, God, Leicester could make a push for the title here. Although they won the FA Cup and finishing 5th, you know, most Leicester fans, if not all Leicester fans, would have taken that at the start of the season. It doesn't tell the whole story, and they should have finished top 4, for being honest. They did bottle it. Sorry.
7th, I've gone for Wolves.
Wow, Wolves finished 13th in the end. And Wolves was the one team that I actually got right last season. For a long time, they did look, to be fair, like they were going to be challenging once again. But obviously, the big turning point in their season was the big injury to Raul Jimenez. A horrendous injury it was that he suffered at Arsenal. And it really knocked them off. And it's a similar story for most teams. When you're lacking a real centre forward, they brought in Willian Jose. He never really hit the ground running. I severely overestimated Wolves there, Jesus Christ.
Here we go then, boys and girls. On to the top 6. 6th, I've gone for Tottenham Hotspur. Burr script.
Is that correct? Is that correct? I think it's correct. I think it's correct. No, it's not correct. No, West Ham finished 6th. Tottenham finished 7th. Oh, that's a ball breaker. That's a ball breaker, that is. Tottenham had a bit of a shit show of a season, realistically, if we look at it. Like, never looking really that threatened that they were going to get into the top 4, and obviously knocked out of the Europa League. But completely underwhelming, obviously sacking Jose Mourinho as well. And, you know, when you looked at it at the start of the season, looked at the forwards they had, Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, Lucas Moura, Lamela, Gareth Bale was after coming back in as well. You kind of did think, surely Tottenham were going to score a shit ton of goals and are going to be right up there. But you always felt like they had that frailty defensively still. Similar to a lot of these teams, it's going to be a season of transition. Will Ryan Mason be in charge of Tottenham next season? Surely not. The talks is that it's going to be Nuno, obviously just left Wolves. But again, it's a summer of transition, and I can't see the likes of Bale coming back. Harry Kane looks like he's pretty much out the door. Well, not pretty much, but that's what everyone is talking about at the minute. The two Manchester clubs knocking on the door.
5th, I have gone for Arsenal.
Arsenal had a stinker.
Oh, they had a stinker. Do you know what? It looked like for a long time they were going to finish bottom half of the table as well, but there they are, down in 8th. Stinky season for them. 18 wins, 7 draws, 13 defeats. I think a lot of their form was dependent on if Aubameyang was firing or not, and he has had probably his worst season since he's come to Arsenal, if we're being honest. Actually, no, definitely his worst season. They just had a stinker of a season, and I think it's the first time in a long time, I don't know the exact amount of time, that Arsenal will be going without European football. And that is just not acceptable. I know a lot of Arsenal fans will say, look, oh, blessing in disguise. Chance for Arsenal to really go for the league next season and really get back to where they need to be, which at the minute is competing for top 4, something that they gave out about Arsene Wenger for the longest time. But they need to get back to that point, and maybe it is a blessing in disguise. But for me, Arsenal Football Club need to be playing Champions League, or need to be playing at the very least Europa League. They need to be playing every other day.
4th, I've gone for Manchester United.
You know, Man United did impress me this season, I have to say. Have they only finished 2nd because the teams around them kind of bottled it and had a bit of a stinker of a season? Perhaps. But you can't take away, like, the Edinson Cavani has been an unbelievable signing for them, and obviously the biggest news they've had is that they'll be keeping him on. They got knocked out of the Champions League group stage, playing in the Europa League final tonight, actually, against Villarreal.
No, 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 no.
The late goal kings, the comeback kings, whatever you want to call it. They had some great outstanding performance. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes as usual. Luke Shaw in particular had a fantastic season. I didn't rate Harry Maguire that much this season, but we could see the difference when he wasn't in the back line in the last couple of games of the season. They're going to be looked to be competing for the league this season, although finishing second. They didn't compete with Man City, let's be honest. They're going to need a couple of reinforcements, and whether that be Harry Kane, whether that be Jadon Sancho, they're going to need a couple. I think they might need a couple of defensive reinforcements as well, but they're going to be right up there again next season, Man United, and they'll be hoping that they can push City a little bit further this time than they did.
Third, I've gone for my beloved Chelsea FC.
Should have finished third, but didn't on the final day thanks to the defeat against Villa and Liverpool's 2-0 win over Crystal Palace. We finished fourth in the end, and it was a pretty wild season to be a Chelsea fan, I think it's fair to say. We started off the season relatively well under Frank Lampard, and then kind of shit hit the fan. We were top of the table actually at the start of December, but then, as I said, shit hit the fan midway through December, come the whole way through January really, and Frank Lampard lost his job. Thomas Tuchel came in, I think we were 8th or 9th in the table, right down there. Obviously, we bottled the FA Cup final, we nearly bottled the final day of the season, but we're in a Champions League final as well. And I think even if we lose on Saturday, you can still say there's been progress made in this squad. And similar to Man United, there probably needs to be a couple of reinforcements made in the summer, maybe more experienced players, to get this Chelsea team the extra edge and back winning things, which is ultimately where we want to be.
Well, who do I think is going to win the Premier League? I'm going to go for Manchester City.
So Liverpool second is what I predicted, and Man City first. Well, I'm happy we predicted the champions right at least. As I said in my last video, Man City had to do it differently this time, didn't they? They came back from, I think, 8th at Christmas or something along those lines to win the Premier League. They went on an incredible run after Christmas and did it without a recognised centre forward because Aguero was out injured for a lot of the season. Gabriel Jesus wasn't really the man, if you like. And rotation was key. I mean, they have an incredibly strong strength and depth in squad, and the likes of Ferran Torres, Raheem Sterling, who didn't always start, were always coming in for games that City felt they'd be more comfortable in. In the two most recent times that they've played Chelsea, I mean, they haven't played Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, like all these players. Phil Foden, what an unbelievable season. Ilkay Gundogan, surprise package of the season really as well. Ruben Diaz, player of the season, unbelievable. And this Man City team, once again, it's going to take some stopping. And it should be a wake-up call that they've run away with it as much as they have to the rest of the top teams in the division. As for Liverpool, if you'd have told me Liverpool finishing third at the start of the season, I would have said that is a serious drop-off. But when you consider all the different factors, the fact that this team managed to come back and finish third from the position they were in, it's unbelievable. Losing Van Dijk was obviously the biggest ball breaker for them. And then losing Joe Gomez and Joel Matip, it looked like the whole season was falling apart. But to be fair to the likes of Ozan Kabak, Reece Williams and Nat fucking Phillips, they pulled through and did it. And it was a tough season for Liverpool, but they can look back, finishing third and think, Jesus, that's bloody decent, considering the circumstances we were in. So there we go, lads. That wraps up my predictions, and that wraps up anything Premier League related for 2020-21. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you are new around here, and I will catch you later.
I've been trying to find a